Hey guys and girls, thank you for joining me. I really appreciate your time. We've got lots to talk about today, camera gear related. Some of it's Nikon products, some of it's aftermarket equipment and accessories, and other little lenses and cameras. And one of the things I like to start off first is some really exciting new releases from other camera manufacturers. So for example, Sony and Sigma have both brought out some very magnificent wide zoom lenses that are very exciting for various different reasons. Now if you're, for example, a sports action shooter, you'd be very excited about the Sigma 300 to 600mm f4. Now, it's a wonderful zoom lens. It's got a terrific range, and if you're, say, a sports shooter on the sidelines, you might be taking photos or video of soccer or football, maybe it's basketball in a stadium and you want the brighter aperture. So if you're doing sort of sports action-y sort of photography and videography, that would be a marvelous lens because of how bright the aperture is. It gives you the opportunities and choices to forget about worries about lighting and how dull or dark the day might be, and just open that aperture up and get some excellent video, and also isolate the subject as well with your photos. So I think it's a terrific product. For everything I've heard about it is amazing. Everybody just raves about how good it is. But that's great. Optically it's fantastic. And it is really, I think, this is my opinion only, it's more specifically a sports action lens. Can it be used for birds and photography and wildlife? Yes, of course, all lenses can be. But the only reason I mention it about that and saying maybe hesitatively is because of its sheer weight. So it is a very heavy lens. It's very close to 4 kilograms. I think it's like 3.5 to 4 kilos. That's a very heavy lens. It's right up there with the, say, 600 to 800 TC lens that Nikon produce. Now that's a girthy, heavy product, and that's sort of the weight that we're talking about. It's just not quite as long. But 600mm is plenty long enough. I've been shooting with 600mm for years as my longest focal length, and I've been very happy with it. So I think that the structure of the lens is brilliant. Optically, it's fantastic. I just get a bit concerned about the weight for if you're doing a lot of birding. Why is it different to sports action? Well, the reason is, of course, you're carrying it up. So this is a modest lens in comparison. This is about half the size and weight. But if you're picking up a lens for birding and you're up here all the time, holding it up with your arms up, mate, when you've got 4 kilos plus the camera in your hand, that can be 5 kilos of weight. That gets very heavy very quickly. So yes, you could use a monopod or a tripod, but could you imagine carrying those around with you all the time birding, where you've got to be quick and adjust and up here and down there and around? That'd be very difficult and awkward and cumbersome. So it's not that the lens is inadequate and wouldn't perform well, it's just I worry about the sheer awkwardness of it and whether or not we get sick of it very quickly. See, it's one thing to have the great specs and say, oh, look at all the numbers, isn't that amazing? But it's quite another thing to actually carry the thing around with you physically all day long. And we've got to consider, keep it in mind, that if you're quite a strong, burly man, maybe you're in the gym doing the weightlifting, or you've been a tradesman all your life, and you're quite a strong person, then maybe you can tolerate it and put up with it. I beg to ask people to consider, if you have been an executive all your life and maybe you've not gone in the gym, maybe your arms just aren't quite as strong as they used to be when you're a young fella, and now you've got a few years under your belt, lifting something like that all day is really going to be a struggle and can actually injure you. I have known other photographers complain about joint shoulder injuries from carrying around these heavy lens and camera combinations. So just be aware of that. Horses for courses, everything's great for something. I'm more of a fan of something like the 180 to 600 for birding because it's a bit lighter, much less weight. Yes, you don't get the strong aperture, but you do get versatility, and it is more practical in weight-wise. Same with the 600 PF. I think the 600 PF is a brilliant idea because you're getting the length, but you also get it lightweight. And for birding or animal wildlife in particular, you can hold it up for lengths of time. And I think that's really important to consider, especially for me. I mean, I'm not getting any younger. I'm 60 years old now, and I got to really think twice about carrying too much weight with me, but also how I carry the weight. So it's not just whether I choose to take a heavy piece of equipment, but how do I fasten it to my body in such a way that I can endure it. So keep that in consideration, that this lens, this context now, Sigma 300 to 600 f4, is a magnificent quality lens, but just be aware of the weight. The price is actually quite reasonable for what it is. It's probably, I think it's less than half the price of the 600 TC from Nikon, so you're actually getting great value for money, there's no doubt about that. The one thing I didn't like about it for wildlife is that I think you would need to equip it with a skin over the surface of it, because it is predominantly a white lens. Now, white's all right for sports on the sidelines because there's multicolours and lights flashing everywhere, and the camera, the lens look doesn't make any difference. But when you're in wildlife, the last thing you want to do is startle a creature with something, you know, black and white almost flashing at them all the time, these light colours. So I think that's where Nikon are very sensible, and then they make a lot of their stuff this matte black sort of finish, and that makes it sort of a bit more incognito and camouflaged, if you like. You can put a skin on, and you can do that the same with this lens, but I just ask you to consider that if you buy it for wildlife, then cover that white, because that white is just going to stand out something atrocious, I think, and maybe a bit of a spectacle. The other lens I'd like to talk to you about is our friends at Sony. Now, they've made quite a fascinating lens, haven't they? They've come out with this very bright aperture, f2, 50mm to 150mm. So 150mm at f2 is incredibly shallow depth of field, great for isolating your subjects. 50 at f2 is still very good. Yeah, it's quite acceptable, and will give you a lovely image as well. So having that range, it's like sort of comes across that 70 to 200 sort of idea, but a bright aperture all the way. Not unlike, of course, this Tamron lens that I have here, which is the 35 to 150. Starts off at f2, but finishes off at 2.8 halfway through the zoom range. I still love this lens. I think it's a fantastic product, and we'll be talking about more about that and this camera in just a moment, how we carry it around to make it comfortable. But the point is that this is still a lot lighter, 50% lighter, I think, than the Sony equivalent, the 50 to 150 f2. And it's lighter because it hasn't got the same aperture. Yes, I understand that. So it's, again, horses for courses and what you're going to do. I want a lens I can take around with me anywhere for either, it could be a wedding, it could be a festival, it could be all-day photo shooting just to be interesting and see what you come up with. And I want something I can actually carry and stand the weight of it. This lens here is very tolerable to carry around all day, especially if you have the right equipment with you, which again we'll talk about later. But I think that Sony lens is just that 50% heavier and like 3 times the price nearly, and I think that extra price really puts it out of the ballpark for many people. And again, it's damn well white again. Okay, that's a personal choice. Maybe you love white, but for me, I don't find white very camouflagey. You know, you're not being discreet at all, are you? At a wedding, having a big, heavy white lens is like sticking a milk bottle in someone's face. You know, you can't miss it, can you? At least when they're matte black, they're a little bit discreet. So my summary of that lens anyway, the Sony one, and I give credit to Sony because they make brilliant G-Master lenses. Their quality of their lenses is astounding, and they're very great, but it's just a bit expensive for my liking, a little bit heavy to carry around all day, and the damn thing's white, which turns me right off for a start. But optically, I hear it's a magnificent product, and if you're a Sony shooter, well, thumbs up, I'm sure you'll love it. I doubt Nikon will get something like that brought out because they're not an aftermarket maker, are they? They're not like Tamron or Sigma or make it for any company. They're pretty much going to keep it for themselves and their own market, and that's fine. Good to you. I've owned Sony cameras. I've had 2 Sony cameras. I've had 2 Canon cameras, and I've also had 2 of the Panasonic. So I understand all about having different brands and their uses and the interest in them, and I certainly hold no grudge to anyone having a different brand than I have. I say good luck. If you find something you really love about that, then I wish you all the best with it. So that's some of the lenses I want to briefly summarise. I'm not going to waffle on too much because I haven't got them. I don't have them in my hand. I can't really make an honest appraisal of them, but I can certainly talk about their specs and the general impression people are having who have used them. And I think that was interesting to talk about. The other thing I'd like to talk to you about today is specifically this combination here and how I carry it around. Now, there are many options. I can put this one here on a cotton carrier rig. So simply by attaching this little button device here to the bottom of the camera, mount it down here, and then I can slot it into my cotton carrier, and that makes it supports on the vest and carries all the weight. But it's probably not necessarily big enough to have to do that. If I was having this wildlife lens, and when you think about this one here, you extend it out, it extends out to 600 mils, and that sort of becomes a lot larger and a lot bulkier, and certainly about twice the weight. Then cotton carrier then comes into its own. That's when that's really relevant. But I don't want to wear a cotton carrier all day because the vest I find actually is really hot. So when I'm out birding, the birds don't care if I'm hot and sweaty, but when I'm around other people, it's nice to be a bit cooler. So what's the other option that we can have to make this thing, I can carry it around, it's useful? Because it's certainly useless in most camera bags. If I have my average camera bag and I try and get that in there, I got no hope at all. So I can get maybe a bigger camera bag to put it in, but then it becomes very heavy around the neck and quite uncomfortable. So what's the solution? Well, I have found a solution, and that solution is with ThinkTank. ThinkTank have a wonderful apparatus. They have a very specific camera bag exactly for this sort of structure of a unit. Now, when I say this structure, they've designed it specifically for, say, a full-bodied camera with a grip, whether that be Canon or Sony or Nikon. I'm using the illustration here of a Z9, and that Z9 with a camera grip, and say a 24-70 or a 70-200. That's the camera bag that they've made for it. Now I'll just show you the bag itself first. There's more to come, but the bag is a good start. So this is the bag here, and as you see from the structure of it and its shape, you can see it's actually designed for a very full-bodied camera with a grip involved there. So it's big, it's square on the top, has a big surface area for the body of the camera, and then a long chute down here, which is obviously where the lens goes into. And as I say, you can have a 24-70 with the camera hood sticking out, and that will fit in, or you can have a 70-200 in here with the hood reversed, and it will fit in this bag either way. It has a wonderful little feature, if I can just illustrate that here, a zip little bag here. You spin it around, and then this pouch comes out and makes it even longer. So, you know, it adjusts to various different lenses. It doesn't have to be a specific formula, but it'll fit to pretty much any lens that you want it to fit to. So I think that's a great idea, having that little extension, and it's very quick and simple to use. And it's unusual actually to have this sort of a zip. It's a spiraling zip, so it's sort of like a spring. It comes around in a thread. And that works really well. So it's nice to have the adjustments there. But the idea of the bag here, let me open it up for you and show you. Interior is wonderfully lined. I do like the fact that, of course, it's got the big cavity for your camera. The whole thing is tailor shaped and made and molded specifically for a battery grip camera body, and nice and smooth and silky. So as you're putting it in and out, it comes in and out very, very simply without any resistance, and it's not uncomfortable. After all, this thing weighs quite a lot. And with a 70-200, it weighs more. And you're trying to lift that out of the bag, the last thing you want is any resistance or a poor shape that's going to catch. So they've thought this out extremely well, and I think it's a brilliant design. That's fantastic. And it has various accessories. Obviously, you've got a lid here. The lid, excuse the sound of Velcro, there's going to be lots of Velcro you're going to hear in a minute. It has a little pouch in here which you can put your little cloths and accessories. So that's sort of quite convenient. You have another zip on top for storage. I use that pretty much for filters, so I'll just show you that one around. So I'll have my filter. This one takes 82mm filter. There's an 82mm filter. Fits in there easy with plenty of room to spare. You could definitely get a 95 in there with no trouble at all. So that's handy. And then of course on top of that you'll also have another little zip on the side here. So you've got lots of zips, you've got plenty of little pockets to put things. This is a great place where you can put your phone. Phone fits in there. That's a big Samsung phone, that fits in really easy. So that's handy. And then another little zip pocket down here. Again, you can put your keys or a little cloth for cleaning, or maybe even your lens cap when you want to store it away and you're not using it. Keep it safe and padded. So, you know, it's a brilliant design. This one here is the model 50. It's the 50 model ThinkTank camera bag for the full body camera, and I think it's a magnificent unit. It's about $200 to buy, thereabouts roughly. I think it was a great investment. They do make one more, bigger than this. I mean, this is one of the larger ones, but they do also make a 150 size. So this is the 50, they make a 150, and that's more for carrying around a big zoom like this. So if you've got the 180 to 600, this is a Sigma 150 to 600. You know, you can have your 600 PF or anything similar to that in there, and all your birding lenses will fit in the larger size bag. That, for example, we're talking about the new Sony lens, the 150 to 50mm f2. That's got a 95mm filter thread, so you would need, like this lens here, you would need to have the 150 size bag, the one bigger than this, because of the girth you would need. So this is something else to consider when you're buying a camera. What do you fit it in? So these guys do make something for you. So ThinkTank, I'm very impressed with them. I think it's a great unit. The camera does fit in there nicely. I'll just illustrate that by slotting her in there. There she goes, and you can see it now inside the bag, and I'm sure you get a good look at that. There's actually plenty of room. Now what I'm trying to illustrate here is how much room there is, because I've got also a cage on, haven't I? I've got the little rig. small rig L bracket, and that doesn't interfere with it going in at all. I've even tried it with my video bracket, and that full video bracket still fits in there when it's on. So it's quite a generous bag, and I'm very impressed with the design, and it's quite easy to get your camera out. It just slides out very, very simply. So loving this thing. I'm going to actually stand up in a minute and fit it, and I'll show you how it all works. So it's not just as simple as slinging it over your shoulder. What they do, just get the equipment, is they provide also a belt. Now, I've done videos on various video belts and camera accessories like this before, but this is an interesting belt. This is a ThinkTank specific belt. You can use it with other items, of course, if you're willing to be adaptive, but specifically it is designed for these units. And I'll just show you how it all comes together. So if you want to attach the belt, and obviously the belt works like any belt you put around your waist to support weight. It has a buckle, of course, nice strong sturdy one at that too, and I think that's a brilliant arrangement. Nice and sturdy, it's never going to come away. It's like seatbelt material sort of thing. And the girth of the actual unit is quite thick. You can see it's well padded to make you very, very comfortable and not rub up against your hip or bones in any way that's going to be uncomfortable. It has an interesting little system here. You might see these little nobules. I don't know if you can pick them up. If I have it like this, you might be able to just see them. But what they're for is certain bags and equipment have little tongues in them, and you can place them into these slots and stop them sliding around so they don't move. They're always in a fixed position. I personally like the idea of it sliding back and forth because it means that I can adjust it on the go as I need to make myself comfortable. I can bring one bag around, I can put one bag behind me, bring another one around from behind and so on, and you can slide it back and forth, which I shall demonstrate. But yeah, I'm very impressed with that. The belt is of high quality. It's about $80, not particularly expensive. I think if you're going to spend $200 on the actual quality camera bags, and they make them for all cameras, like they make them for modest sized cameras as well, you could definitely find something for your Z6 and a 24-70, no trouble at all. But and it'll be cheaper as well. But I needed something specifically for the Z9 and a big zoom, and that's why I've gone with this Model 50. And the belt. The reason I want the belt is I want to make sure the weight is off my neck and shoulders. This thing hanging around your neck all day, you know, sort of get a cranky neck very, very quickly, and I don't like being sore. So this helps take the weight by 50%. So you've got 50% around your waist, 50% with the camera bag and a strap, and you're comfortable all day. And I can testify to that because I went out all day with my wife. We went on a little excursion, walking the dog, going to the shops, going to the cafes, taking photos up and down the Brisbane River in the cafe district. And it was a magnificent day out, and I had this thing around my neck the whole day, and it was comfortable as, and I didn't feel stressed at all. So it certainly works. So let me just pause things for a minute. I'm going to stand up, get a wider angle shot so you can see everything, and I'll fit this together and show you, even with other camera accessories, how it all comes together. So hey guys and girls, here we go. I've got a wider shot now, seeing a bit more of the room and Japanese rice paper screens, etc. But today we're not focusing on that. We're talking about ThinkTank and their belt and camera bag combination. So let me run you through that. I'm just going to go again. So initially what we have here is the very appropriate camera bag suitable for a Z9 or Canon, whatever, Sony full-bodied camera with a grip. And you know, it's well constructed and well lined and put together, and it's about $200. And I thought, that's when I say $200, I'm talking about $200 Australian, and that's what I paid for it. With lots of little satchels and zips and little composites you can put together. So it's a very handy little unit and works extremely well. Then we talk about, in the same breath, the ThinkTank belt. So I think this belt or padded belt is very, very essential in the whole equation of having a comfortable setup with your big zoom and your larger camera. So how does this all work and put together? Well, I'm just going to show you. It's very, very simple. So first thing what you do is you don't put the belt on straight away. You've got to actually mount the camera bag to it. Now we're going to have a bit of Velcro noise again. I apologize for that. Please bear with me. The Velcro is very strong. They do a wonderful job on the Velcro on this camera bag, so I'm very impressed. So the strategy when you're putting this thing together is don't have any cameras in it while you're fitting it to yourself. You don't need the weight. You don't want to drop and spill something out of the camera and hit the ground. So always have them empty of the camera and lens when you're actually fitting them. It makes it a little more comfortable and easier to put around too. So here we have this little flap that they have of 2 pieces of Velcro. Obviously you've got, you know, the felt and the hook and loop. And you've got to think about this when you put this together, always make sure you got it the right way around. So if you ever look at the back of the belt, it has the words ThinkTank and some serial numbers in writing. You make sure that they're the correct way around, and then you know you're going to fit it appropriately. So with the camera bag, you know that this bracket that it's Velcro bracket it's got, it's going to sit in here over your hip. So when you place it over like such, put that over the top, and it's like a little sandwich you're making. You put this over here, nice and firm, and there you go. See how it slides still? So you can fasten it very securely. That's never coming off. It's super, super strong Velcro. But the beauty of this is, of course, that you've got slidability and comfort. So how do I now fit this to myself? Well, it's very simple. All I do is I place it around my waist as such, pop it in. You want it nice and tight, all right? There's no point having this thing and having it loose so it sags around and doesn't feel very practical or comfortable. Position the camera bag where you can access it so you can get your camera in and out. I like it there, just over the top of my hip there. And have your camera ready to go. Place it in there. It zips up over the top there. So you've got two little latches and you can zip it. I tend to not zip it all the way. All right, I just zip it about 2/3 or 3/4. It's enough to secure it without it being awkward. The thing about the design of this thing here is that they have the zips meet right into your waist. And see, this is actually a bit of a problem for me. I didn't like the design of that. I thought the zips should have gone the other way around and finished up here. But because they finish and close down here, you're sort of coming into your kidneys to try and get it, and it's almost like a fight to find the ends of them. So if you go all the way in, it's safe, it's sealed, and nothing's coming out, but it was a little bit irritating to open up, and if you're going in and out with a camera, you want to make it as convenient as possible. So I highly recommend in this situation, just go about 2/3 of the way around. To assist me with this, I have some little pieces of Velcro. You see I've attached inside the bag a bit of super glue and some Velcro, another patch of Velcro here, and I can just tag them down. And I've got it the same on the other side. You can just tag them over onto the Velcro, and that secures it. It just makes sure it'll never just come open or the zips open up on you. And also, of course, Velcro, extremely quick to open up and close again. So I found that's just an improvisation I've made. I found that worked very well. Now, once you've got your camera in there, you still want to have your strap to make things comfortable. So just make sure it's not tangled. A few seconds just unraveling it. And then once you've got it on, slip it over your head and make it nice and comfortable. The trick is it is adjustable, so just make the adjustments right. So what you've got is a 50-50 mix. So you've got 50% of the camera bag being supported by the strap and 50% of it by the belt on your waist. So if I just come back a little bit more, might help you to see that a little bit better. You can see how it sits on the body. Sorry, I'm not much of a model, more of a photographer. But there you go. You can sort of see how it all sits, and it is actually extremely comfortable. It only comes down just a little bit past your hip, and I find that really nice. I like the way it snugs right into your hip too, and make sure that you're feeling comfortable. So there you go. You've got 50% of the weight being held by the belt, 50% by the strap, and you can carry this around and work with this all day without getting a sore back or sore arms. So it is a safe system. It's padded, of course, and well protected. You have all your accessories in here. As I showed you earlier, you can have your mobile phone, filters, cloths, your keys. There's so many compartments in here to make sure you've got everything together in one little container that it's very, very practical. And so I find this excellent, and I'm just going to illustrate the opening it up again. I'll just get the Velcro off. The zips up, doesn't really take much time, and the coming in and out is the important thing. Absolutely effortless to get it in and out. So in a camera bag conventionally, like a backpack, that's super annoying. If you've got your camera in a backpack, sure, you can fit it in there. Every time you want to get the camera out, what are you going to do? Oh, undo all the buckles and get it out and put it on the floor on a table and unzip everything and you get it out. And by the time you've done that, the moment's gone. You're not going to take the photo now, or you've given up trying. You need something that's lightning fast to get access to, and that's what that's the selling point of this item. That with just flipping it over and straight out and ready to shoot. Doesn't take any time at all. You can almost think of it after a while. I've used the joke about quick draw McGraw. You know, how fast can you shoot your iron? Well, right now you can do it very fast because that's extremely practical and quick. And I love the way you can quickly make it safe. A little bit of Velcro if you want it. You don't have to use the Velcro. That's just something I've improvised with, but I found that very useful. And so that's how it looks like on you, but there's actually a little bit more we can do. There's more room on this belt. So if you had other accessories that you also want to include, could be a flash, a second lens, an ultra wide or something like that, or other accessories you'll need for the day, I'll just show you how they also fit as well. So just bear with me a little bit because I'm going to have to cut the video to unravel this, and then I'll show you a little bit about putting other camera bags on. So firstly, what I wanted to point out to you is different camera bags that you can put on. You can have any size of camera bag. This one here is a low pro bag, and it's a 150 size, and I find this one actually a very excellent little bag. I've got a few accessories in it right now, but this one here, as most camera bags around this size and structure have, they have the little loops for your belt. Now this is obviously for your dress belt and your pants or something. You generally use it to carry some weight off the bag for yourself. Same sort of idea, it's just they just come with a little accessory like that to put a belt on. You can use that with this system, so that actually still does work. And here's a different bag, and this one here, well, it's a little bit larger. It's a bit ratty and old, I'm sorry to show you that, but it is actually the perfect size to illustrate for what I want to show you now. So because of the sizing, it's a little bit bigger than that one, and it is the perfect illustration. I'm going to use it whether it looks a bit older and rattier or not. It still works beautifully. So in here you'll see I've got some accessories. So what have I got in here? You'd be surprised what you can fit in these camera bags. This is a modest bag. Here I have a 16mm f1.8 from Viltrox Z-mount lens, brilliant for an ultra wide. So if I've got a 35 to 150, or 24 to 70, or the 70 to 100, and I want something extra wide, you can bring an extra lens with you and you've covered all your bases. No matter what situation you're in, you're going to be able to take a photo of it. The other thing I have in the camera bag here is a speed light. So this is quite a large speed light. It has a diffuser attached, as you can see, so it's going to be a nice soft light. I can whack that on the camera and I can take some lit photos should I need to. And don't underestimate being in control of your lighting. It's very important. So if you can do so, please do. So I was just illustrating what's actually in there, and it fits in generously. I mean, I could put, wallets and accessories and various batteries and things in there as well. There's plenty of room still going on in there. So I'll just zip that up to make sure that nothing falls out. Because if I start wriggling around with this and I haven't got it secured, very good chance it's all going to fall to the floor or I'll embarrass myself. So now what I want to do is attach this to the belt. And it's pretty much a similar way you do with this, except this one doesn't have the Velcro. So here you've got to thread it through those little loops. So I'll illustrate that for you. I can justify leaving the camera on because, well, I'm very fortunate that I've got a solder strap on. So what I'm going to do is feed this belt through these loops. Now I'll be honest with you, it's a little bit tight. This isn't designed for the ThinkTank bag, so it is a little bit awkward and tight, and I'll just struggle a little bit getting it through, but I will eventually. It is very doable. I've done this before. It's just not going to look great on the camera because it's going to look like I'm struggling, and I am when I'm doing it in this position. Normally we'd take everything off and do it on a bench or something and then get it set up. Right now I'm just trying to do it on the fly, see if I can impress you. Yes, I don't think anybody's impressed. So I've got it around. If I can clip that together and fasten it. And as I say, I'd recommend you don't do that actually like that. You would actually do it separately. But I've got it in there, it's all on. And now what I want, if I want to have some accessories with me, you can see here that I have that option available. Now I wouldn't have this just on the belt alone. If you have it just on the belt alone, you're going to be sad, because you're going to have a lot of weight again hanging off your hip. So what you're going to do is you just fasten a camera strap on. I've got a nice padded one here, as you can see, that's very comfortable and fully adjustable, so I can make it whatever size and length I want. You put that over the other side of your body. There we go, and you make your appropriate adjustments. So just get your strap and make it so it's supporting some of the weight. And there you go, you've got that set up now where everything is right in front of you. It's a hands grab. You can just grab it in seconds and get all your accessories that you want, and you're right to go. So I think this is a great setup. Does carry the weight. You find that it isn't hurting your back. The belt's magnificent to take 50% of the weight off, and you can sort of slide them around back and forth to make them comfortable to fit any body shape or type. So I just wanted to run you through that and show you that it's great to have some accessories. I found these particularly useful for everyone, and I'm giving it 2 thumbs up. I think it's definitely worth it if you have a very large camera and lens combo you're taking around with you all day. Probably very good for event, wedding photographers and the likes. And if you just happen to have one big lens as I do, and I use it for pretty much everything and it barely comes off the camera, this is a great setup for you to feel comfortable all day. Or also it doubles up as a nice rest for your arms. So that's handy as well, hey. So thank you very much for letting me show you through my new toys. Always appreciate that. There'll be new videos coming up, of course, every fortnight and so on. And so I just want to thank you very much for your time sharing and being patient with me, fiddling around with my gear. So have a great afternoon and thank you for your time.